Hello, I'm Dr. Denise Lucy, a proud member of the Marin Women's Hall of Fame class of 2011. It is my pleasure to sit down with this year's class of Marin Women's Hall of Fame inductees to learn about their lives, their careers, and their journeys that they led to being honored in this way. Since 1987, the Hall of Fame has inducted over 150 Marin women of distinction. Women who have made immense contributions to the County of Marin and its residents, as well as the world beyond. Honorees have distinguished themselves in many fields: education, science, business, philanthropy and the arts, politics, law, philosophy, and religion. Each honoree has been a force of positive change in our community. It is a great privilege to acknowledge and document their contributions. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce Cecilia Zamora, who has been honored in 2020 for her pioneering work in social change. So thank you for Cecilia for joining us today and for sharing your stories. What an excitement for all of us to honor you for the Hall of Fame. And it's just a pleasure.
Thank you.
We've known each other for many, many years. It's been a privilege.
20 plus.
20 plus indeed. And it's been my privilege to have benefited from your leadership and your friendship. So tell us, what is the Latino Council of Marin? What is that?
So the Latino Council was born out of need in Marin County when a local organization called La Familia folded for various reasons. Mm-hmm. And I was working for the United Way of the Bay Area at the time, and we had an office in Marin County. Mm-hmm. And several Latino service providers came to United Way and said, what can we do to fill that gap? La Familia was sort of a one-stop shop for all services for Spanish-speaking low-income Latinos in Marin. Mm-hmm. Jobs and training, health services, education, all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. And when that happened, United Way of the Bay Area looked to several of us on staff and said, let's figure this out. And what was born out of that was the Latino Council, which is formerly known as the Latino Services Project. And when it began to roll out as its own organization, they asked me to be executive director in 1997.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's quite a while, isn't it, Cecilia? And so it serves nonprofits, government, and business. You interact, do you not, with those organizations or those types of groups, to how they can best serve the Latino community?
Right. We do not do service. We don't provide service. Mm-hmm. We work with organizations that are looking to improve their outcomes in the community. So it could be their outreach issues, their programming issues. It could be staff development. It could be trying to develop their own culturally responsive mission, mm-hmm. which they may or may not have had before. Mm-hmm. So variety of things. So very consultative.
Mm-hmm. Are there any key projects that bring you the most pride with which you've been working?
Oh, wow. So over the years, the Latino Council has been one of the founding members of many collaboratives in Marin County, which I think I'm very proud of a lot of that work. We were founding members of the Breast Cancer Coordinating Council, the Marin Human Rights Roundtable on Hate Violence, the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council, and currently the Marin County Coalition to End Human Trafficking. So those issues are big, and they require coordinated efforts, and so the Latino Council has been one of the founding members and leaders in those collaboratives, and so that's been special. Lately, in the last 10 or 15 years, personally, I have been interested in the arts. And so we all know that arts and music and food bring people together and create, community. And so I've been very interested in supporting the arts as they support the Latino community. So
interesting.
Building those bridges.
Very fascinating. So you also are the CEO and president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So how do those two organizations interact?
So the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Marin has been around since 1992. I did not get involved with them until after I'd actually gotten involved with the San Rafael Chamber of Commerce. I was on their board of directors, and somebody called me and said, hey, did you know there's a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here? And basically, Hispanic chambers were developed to support the Latino-owned business sector. Here in Marin County, that business sector is quite small comparatively to the rest of the business community. So we actually have increased our vision to include not just business owners, but Latino professionals, organizations that have a large Latino employee base, people that want to reach the Hispanic Latino market. And in that way, we've kind of really made available to everyone in Marin the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Marin, and it's business focused. So the Latino Council is community focused, and the Hispanic Chamber is business focused. And so because I wear two hats, allows me to really understand the needs of both and bring them together.
That's really interesting to me. That's good to know. So your volunteerism is part of your career. It seems like you volunteer everywhere around the corner here in town.
I started volunteering because when I started working for United Way of the Bay Area, actually, to be honest with you, I began to understand that everyday people make big differences in the community. And they do that by volunteering. And United Way had a lot of I come from the corporate world, so they had a lot of business professionals working on community issues by volunteering and working with United Way. So I started my volunteer career with the Marin Child Care Council because that was of some interest to me, that child care was very much a need for working women and single moms. And it wasn't very, we've always had a low number of child care capability in Marin County. So I was on the Marin Child Care Council for some years, and then I served on. Then I thought it would be fun to learn to be a fundraiser, so I joined the Marin General Hospital Foundation board, and then Sutter came in, and it became the Marin County Community Health Board, and then Sutter left, and it became the Marin General Hospital Foundation Board again. But I was on that board for 10 years.
Were you really?
During the
Wow.
when they built Nevada Hospital, and I enjoyed that very much, to be a part of a system that would bring state-of-the-art health care to the people who live here.
Wonderful.
And I've done I've sat on many other boards. You don't want to know all of them, do you?
I actually see some of them. I did look at the long list. Not only have you sat on many boards, you have many awards, pages of them, Cecilia.
Been privileged and honored to have them. Thank you.
Can you tell us an important learning in your life that you believe has been key to your success?
So I emanate from the feminine spirit, right? I come from a family of very strong women. My grandmother was of great influence to me. And my mother, when I was growing up, was an aide to a state senator in Southern California. So I began to learn a lot about civic engagement during those years when I was in middle school and high school. And so I think that really played a big role when I came to, out of college, I came to San Francisco. I worked for AT&T, I worked for PG&E, and I had no idea that one day I would be working in the nonprofit sector. But all those things have influenced me when I finally did get here on how to be a community leader.
Tell us about your family.
Oh, okay. I come from a Mexican-American family. My dad's, I'm fifth generation Californian on my dad's side. My mother's from Tucson, Arizona, and I'm third generation on her side. We're a family of 5. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and we lived in Southern California. And when I went to school, I did not ever really like Southern California, so I moved north because I loved the weather better. And I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and I had a chance to come to San Francisco, and I said, okay, that's where I want to go. So my family is still in Southern California. I have a brother that's now moved to Colorado, and a sister that's now lives in Arizona. So we're all over the place, but we have a strong family, really centered around my mom. My parents were divorced when I was in high school. My mother passed away in 2019, but we still stay very connected.
Can you tell us what drew you to your work? You know, how did you shape your career? You have so much volunteerism. You work for profit and nonprofit, and now you're really your own entrepreneur too.
Right, I'm very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
I'm very entrepreneurial. In fact, my whole life is really entrepreneurial.
So how did that happen?
So I worked for corporate, and I liked it. I got a job with the phone company when I very first came here, and they were very supportive. And one of the first corporations we all know that hired diversity at that time. So there were people of color working there, there was LGBTQ people working there, and there were women in high-level management positions. And that was very attractive to me, and I appreciated working for the phone company during that time when nobody else was actually hiring that way. I took a leave of absence to go to Europe for a little while, and then I came back. I got a job with PG&E, and I got opportunity to be working in the personnel department. And that's where I really learned how to work with people. I mean, that I loved working with people. So I became a recruiter after that, and I actually had my own business for 12 years as a high-tech recruiter. And then I met my husband. My husband's from Corte Madera, born and raised in Marin County. And we met in 1986, and we went on a trip to Yellowstone. He wanted to teach me how to fly fish, and this has literally impacted my career, which I'm not telling you a funny story, but I actually had a bad accident in Yellowstone, and I had about a year worth of rehab and whatever. Oh. And during that time, I had to get rid of my full-time for-profit consulting technical recruiter position, or company, even I had my own company at that time, and I got a part-time job with United Way of the Bay Area. And then United Way of the Bay Area's assistant vice president was leaving, and they said, well, Cecilia, you should take that job. And I said, well, the reason I'm working here is I have to work half-time because I was in rehab. And then another woman in the office had a little kid, so we job shared the assistant vice president position. And it was during that time that my eyes became open to the nonprofit sector. And all the work that the nonprofit sector does to support the public sector, government agency sector, and the for-profit business sector. And I just became aware of how important the nonprofit work is, and how much it gave me to give back was just part of my spirit, I guess.
Well, I see you were on the boards of the United Way of the Bay Area. You mentioned Marin General and Marin Community Health Foundation, San Rafael Chamber of Commerce, Boys and Girls Club of Marin, Marin Kids, San Rafael Schools Community Network. You work with me at Dominican's Women Leadership Philanthropy Council. You were an amazing leader in chairing that LEAP committee. You had so many advisory boards, the Mega Marin, Latino Breast Cancer Agency, Marin Asian Advocacy Project. When do you have time for you?
So you cannot do this work without support, right? And I have a very supportive husband. And he has always had my back on whatever I thought I wanted to do. And he's what I call him my number one volunteer. So without that, I probably would not have done as much. But yeah, you can't do any of this without having the support of the people that you live with at home and that you care about. So
that makes me smile. You're number one volunteer. So tell us a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce volunteerism too. That's just a gigantic effort that you've taken on.
So the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, or the San Rafael
Chamber of Commerce is what I mean. The San Rafael Chamber, because you volunteered for how many years now?
So I sat on the board for 12 years, and during that time, under the leadership of Elisa Giambastiani,
I remember
the CEO, who brought in the Summerfield Leadership Institute to the chamber as a program of the chamber. She was doing everything. She was being the CEO, and she was being the Leadership Institute, everything. She was doing everything. And she said to me, and I was very interested in leadership development at that time. I'd already taken some leadership development courses myself through the Women's Foundation of California and through an organization called HOPE, Hispanas Organized for Political Equality. And so she said, well, maybe you can help me. So I started to help her run the Leadership Institute, and eventually I've been now chairing it or co-chairing it for a few times, but mostly since for about 25 years.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of my work with the Leadership Institute. It is one of my personal endeavors. I do it as a volunteer, but I believe that helping people learn and understand and develop and nurture their own leadership journey is one of my missions in life.
Wow. Well, and I personally observed it too, because at Dominican University we always have a colleague that's in your institute, and they come back just knowing the community and really ready to work and commune together.
Yeah, it's a great program.
It is. It's a great program.
It's a great program.
Can you tell us what you've learned about mentorship and being a mentor in your life?
You know, it's kind of accidental mentorship, actually. I have had the opportunity to work with a numerous number? That doesn't sound right. With a number of really wonderful women and men, and some in the beginning of their careers, as you saw with Berta Campos. Berta and I go way back, 20 years ago, when she was just, a provider in her organization. Now she's such a big leader in the community.
Yeah.
So yeah, some of it intentional, some of it not intentional. I find out later that I had a big influence on somebody. But I believe that women in particular need to support each other. And so I've had many mentors myself: Elisa Giambastiani, Cynthia Murray, my mother, influences that have helped me move forward. So hopefully I've had that happen with other people.
Well, I know you've worked on projects with Dominican University. It seems every semester you're volunteering
for about 8 semesters now, I think.
Isn't that amazing? And all those students that you've helped mentor there.
Yeah. Just
thank you so much for doing it.
I love it.
And students love you.
Except for that I'm not really I'm not as good with youth as I'd like to be. I'm not so hip.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
But they help me. They help me be more hip.
They're hardworking, aren't they?
They are. They are. And that's just one part of the thing always amazes me is that's just one part of their work. They have this whole other thing they're doing, and I'm helping them do this, and that's just one little part of it.
That's a third of what they're doing in the course.
Yeah,
it's a lot more to do, isn't it?
I don't know if I should say this now or not, but Dominican University is one of my heart places. I was on the President's Council under President Joe Fink, and I always support Dominican University, with or without Denise Lucy, but with Denise Lucy even more. Just great work that the university has done.
I'm just so proud of it. And we did projects together for years. You were on the Women's Commission.
I was on the Women's Commission for 21 years. I think I'm the person that's been on the commission longest ever.
Well, it was your vision that we partner and conspire to have forums and
Women in Money conference and the Teen Girl Conference came out of that work, and
those are great fun years, weren't they?
Yeah.
They continue to be that. Thank you for helping us so much every year.
Absolutely.
Every semester you're doing this.
Yeah, love it.
So when you think about your life, what inspires you?
I'm inspired by believing that things will get better. I'm the glasses half full person. And I just heard a quote recently that I wrote down, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember it, but it's like, I wouldn't be doing this work if I wasn't a half glass full person. So I think what inspires me is that I see things can get better. I know things can change. And sometimes it's hard work and long vision, long-term vision. But I can see that, and I think that's what keeps me getting up in the morning and feeling good about the world, is the fact that I know things can get better and will get better. And that whatever I can do to make that help, I will do.
That's beautiful. Well, you've helped make things better in your career. And I think about the award that you received for the Chamber by the Spirit of Marin.
Oh, Spirit of Marin Award.
Could you talk about that? What is the Spirit of Marin, for those who don't know?
So the Spirit of Marin was developed by the Bank of Marin to exemplify the spirit of giving, as was visioned by one of their founders. And the Spirit of Marin helps the Chambers of Commerce, all 14, I think, active Chambers of Commerce in Marin, gives them the opportunity to honor their members or their community volunteers that interact with the Chamber. In 1997, I received the Spirit of Marin Award prior to my actually joining the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, but because of the work I was doing through the Latino Council. So the Hispanic Chamber nominated me for that award, and that was a long time ago, but it was a very personal accomplishment that you can't replicate.
I remember being there.
Serious? Oh, nice.
And so
we didn't know each other very well at that time.
No, but I remember being there. I've been at Dominican 30 years now.
Wow.
So I remember, and you always bring such excitement and fun to the Spirit of Marin together, as we gather. Really love the people that you bring with you, and it's a nice time, isn't it?
Right, it is.
Yeah. And so also, you've received the Martin Luther King Jr. Humanitarian Award. What is that award for?
So the County of Marin has a commission called the Human Rights Commission, and they give the Martin Luther King Jr. Humanitarian Award every year, except for maybe a few years through COVID. But yeah, that's an award that recognizes the work that you do that is aligned with the vision of Martin Luther King, which is basically to be, have equality and equity for all, basically. So, and my work is very much rooted in that spirit. Yeah.
Well, you certainly deserve it. So going back to the Women's Commission, you were on the commission in Marin, and then I read that you were also involved with the commission was it the national level?
Yeah, so while I was on the Marin Women's Commission, I served as chair of the commission twice in 2 different periods of time. But in 2014, I was able to go to a conference, a national conference. There's of an organization called the National Association of Women's Commissions, and it's an organization of all the women's commissions across the country. And during that time, I became very interested in the leadership, working with the leadership of that group, and became a board member in 2014, to be honest with you, I don't remember what year, but I was on the board member for a number of years, and then I was president from 2014 to 2016. That's what I'm trying to remember. So I served on that board for about 8 years. And the best part of that was to be able to convene with women all over the country to work on issues in their states or counties or cities that were important to women. Pay equity, reproductive rights, and the issues of young women and their safety. So there's a lot of really important work that's done through the women's commissions across the country, and every jurisdiction has its own issue. But it was a wonderful experience for me to be the national president for 6 years. I was president for 6 years. Yeah,
that's remarkable.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular for which you have the most pride in that work?
Let's see. Well, during that time, we had very successful convenings of commissions across the country. My last convention actually was in Hawaii, which nobody's going to send people to Hawaii. These are all government positions, or government funded positions.
Oh.
But they did. They sent their people to Hawaii. It was lovely. We were supportive of the Equal Rights Amendment being ratified.
Mm-hmm.
And so that still hasn't happened, but during those years, we were big supporters of the ERA movement.
Any progress there since your service?
One state has actually signed on, one more state, and I believe that makes all of the states that they need for ratification. But the Senate won't put it on the floor. So there's one group in particular that we've been supporting, and she's she's not going to let it go. Yeah, and so hopefully the ERA will pass someday.
Someday, maybe before we retire.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. So, given your experiences and achievements that you've had in Marin County, they've been profound. What are your hopes for Marin County? Do you have any visions for how we can improve?
You know, we have an equity issue in Marin County that's very acknowledged. Mm-hmm. I think the direction of the way things go with the government agencies and with the businesses and the community itself are moving in the right direction, but it's very slow. And so, you know, my hope is that we don't see an increase in anti-Semitic, mm-hmm. you know, attacks, mm-hmm. that we don't see an increase in anti-immigration or anti-immigrant mm-hmm. attacks, that we have more equity for women, and that we can all have a really beautiful, wonderful life in this beautiful county for everybody. And so housing is an issue, and transportation is an issue, and climate change now is an issue. Mm-hmm. And all these things coming together at one time, you know, homelessness, all this mm-hmm. is very hard on Marin County. We're small, mm-hmm. but I think there's a lot of interest in making things work. And mm-hmm. I've seen that through my work, mm-hmm. that it's not just me, it's a lot of people trying to make that work.
Making great progress, but still a whole lot to do. If you were to choose one area of focus that your legacy has impacted most, what would that be?
Leadership development. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Being and acknowledging and recognizing leaders and supporting new leaders and supporting existing leaders and creating a space for the development of leaders. That's, to me, the biggest thing.
Of all ages.
Of all ages, of all genders. Yes, exactly.
Well, we are also honored and proud. I want to thank you for your life's commitment to service and your friendship.
Thank you.
Congratulations for your Hall of Fame induction. Thank you, Cecilia, for sharing your stories from your incredible life with us, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in. The Marin Women's Hall of Fame is a program of the YWCA Golden Gate Silicon Valley. If you would like to learn more about the Hall of Fame and our honorees, please visit www.yourywca.org. Thank you for joining us today.